Welcome to SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star Sports podcast. I'm Blair Kirchhoff. I imagine when the Royals scheduled their 2014 American League Championship team reunion and celebration that occurred last weekend, there would be hope that the former Boys in Blue would inspire the current group that hasn't known much success over the past few years. Instead, the Royals got the best of both worlds. They got to celebrate the team that gave Royals fans a memorable season a decade ago while watching a team that has been unexpectedly good this season. The Royals are 11 games over 500 as we record this episode. So on this show, we revisit the 2014 Royals through the voices of some of the team's key figures. You'll hear from manager Ned Yost, first baseman Eric Hosmer, third baseman Mike Moustakas, and outfielder Alex Gordon. You'll hear their interviews with reporters that were recorded before the reunion activities. Several topics were covered, but mostly they centered on the memories of that 2014 season and what they think of the 2024 Royals. Okay, let's get started with manager Ned Yost, and after him you'll hear from Hosmer, Moustakas, and Gordon.
Let's get it going.
What are you most looking forward to?
Just seeing the guys. You know, I've had an opportunity to see guys over the last couple of years, but to get them all together is a special thing. I think more than anything, I've been thinking about this a lot. When we had a 40-year reunion for our Milwaukee World Series team 2 years ago, and the crew got together, and it was a special time because when you accomplish something great as a team like this, it's a special bond I think that you have with guys for the rest of your life. So it's great to see guys. It's great to catch up with them, seeing what they're up to now, seeing how big their kids have gotten. And, it's a lot of fun.
Can you believe it's been 10 years?
I'm sorry?
Can you believe it's been 10 years?
It happens fast, man. I mean, time flies. I don't know where it's going. It just goes by really, really quick, and now it's hard to believe it's been 10 years.
The Oakland game was, something special. And then you guys sweep the next two series. I mean, just what do you remember the most about? What's the best memories you have of that outside of obviously?
Well, for me, the whole start. We took it going to the last day, a game out against Detroit, and we wanted to win and have Detroit lose and have the one-game playoff, and hopefully win that game to go right into the division series. For me, the wild card game was special because it didn't mean after all those years that we were in the playoffs. We had to win that game in order to get to the playoffs. So, it was a fantastic game. It was one that I think our fans will remember for a long time, and catapulted us to, 8-0 start, which was special.
Ned, as you guys get together, do you reminisce, or is it catching up mostly, or do you guys do reminisce about some stuff?
The funny thing about it, I think more than anything, is you just reminisce. But, I said, especially during COVID, there was no baseball going on, so like the MLB channel would replay a bunch of classic games, and they replayed a bunch of our World Series games, and a lot of games. I was with World Series games in Atlanta, and stuff like that. And, you sit there and watch that game and think to yourself, man, I was right in the middle of it. I don't remember that happening. I don't remember this. I don't remember that happening. So, I think as the games go along, you're so in tune to what's going on. Once the game's over, and you just move on to the next day. So I think the special thing about these things are just reminiscing, being able to catch up with the guys more than sitting back and say, hey, remember that time you got that hit? And half of us don't remember it anyway. So I think it's just being able to see each other and spend time with each other makes it special.
A lot of these guys had their best years in 14 and 15, a lot of these stars. Did they make each other better?
Oh, yeah, they absolutely did. But, it was a group that came up together, and, they kind of, learned the craft or understood what it took to be really good players together. And that takes time. I mean, that's always been my experience. It's 2.5 years before a group of talented players get together before they can really take off. And, it was about, I'll never forget, it was about the 2.5 year mark in 13. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this team's been here together. They're ready to go. And we were 3 games out going into Yankee Stadium. And I'm flying into Yankee Stadium thinking, okay, we're going to sweep these guys. And after the All-Star break, we're going to be at 500 and take off. Well, we ended up getting beat 3 in a row, and we're 6 games out going into the All-Star break. But after that All-Star break from 2013 to the end of 2015, we had the best record in all of baseball. So it played out true again. But, you just get together and, they grow together, they learn together. And I think more than anything else, they get to the point where, they think they're good, but until they absolutely know in their heart that they're good, that's when things take off. And I believe that's what happened in the middle of the wild card game, is that they came together and they all of a sudden really realized how good they were, and then just went on a great run for another whole year after that.
Ned, one of the things that you guys did, too, is really turn Kansas City back into a baseball town. It was a long kind of journey to get there as the team was winning. And even into 14, late in the year, I remember the crowds weren't maybe what you wanted them to be. And you're like, when they get that, they'll get it. And it really turned this town around.
Kansas City, yeah, we did, I think, more than anything else. But Kansas City's always been a baseball town. It's just that we just didn't give them a team that they could really get behind and support, I think. But once, with what Dayton did and the scouting department and our player development did to get these kids drafted and get them developed and get them to the big leagues and give them the time to grow and to become all-stars, once that happened, then the team, the city just fell back into being what it naturally is, just a great baseball town. And understanding, and I'm really happy to see the Royals doing so well right now, because it's giving our fans again another boost and more excitement every single day.
You saw Salvi when he was young, and you're still seeing him now perform at a high level. Just what have you just seen again from 10 years now, Salvi to now?
Doesn't surprise me a bit. Salvi works. He's like Alex Gordon. He works diligently to stay in shape 12 months a year. I mean, he's the hardest worker. Him and Alex were 2 of the hardest workers that I've ever seen during the season, and 2 of the hardest workers that I've ever seen during the off season. So, it's not an accident that Salvi's still performing at a high level. He works extremely hard at it to be able to do that.
Then from your dugout perspective, how would you describe the atmosphere, the energy at the K during those playoff games?
It was it's everything that you hoped it would be as a team and an organization and as a city. The funny thing about it is that, once the games start, you're so locked into the game, you don't really hear the noise. And there would be times where I'd tell myself, okay, if something good happens, stop and listen, but it was too hard to do that. But every once in a while, you could feel the energy, you could feel the excitement, even though you don't hear it, you feel it. And then you stop and you take a look around in the second inning and nobody's sitting down. And then you take a look around in the fifth and nobody's sitting down. Everybody is, enjoying the game. Everybody's super excited. Everybody's into it, just like the players were into it. And it makes it a much more enjoyable experience for the players. Having the fans behind you to that level and to that degree just gives you that extra added boost of adrenaline that you feel that is drawn from our fans.
You mentioned reliving some of those games during COVID when everybody's still on TV and you watch them. Anything, you guys came up a little bit short in 14. It was the driving force behind 15. Anything you saw in any of the games that you're like, I wish I would have done this or anything?
Yeah,
like that?
nothing. There was, at the end of 14, I sat back and kind of looked at it all. And, I had, as a manager, I had every matchup that I wanted, everything that we wanted to do. We did it, just didn't work out. And the reason, I don't really feel like we came up short. I just feel like one heroic job by a guy by the name of Madison Bumgarner cost us 2 World Series. We could have had back-to-back World Series. If Madison Bumgarner wasn't on that team, we'd have had 2 back-to-back World Series. So, it just gave us a lot of confidence going into 15, knowing that we had a group of guys now all of a sudden that knew what it take to be a World Championship caliber team.
Ned, is it bittersweet? The one person who's not here, Giordano.
Well, it is. That's always bittersweet. And again, we going back to what we talked about earlier with that Milwaukee Brewer team. I'd just gone and done an autograph deal. They had an autograph weekend with that 82 team, and Molitor and Robin Yount and Gorman Thomas and Cecil Cooper and Raleigh Fingers and people. Everybody was there, Roy Howell, and we had a great weekend. We hadn't seen each other in 20 years or 25 years, and we just had a great weekend. And I flew back on a Saturday night, and I just went to bed feeling really, really good about seeing those guys, because it was a group of guys that you accomplished something special. I mean, a team from Milwaukee hadn't been back to the World Series since '82. And I was sitting at home the next day, and phone rang about 11, and it was Dayton. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And he goes, oh, nothing. He goes, look, I got to tell you something. I said, what? He goes, your Donald was in a wreck last night. And, of course, when you hear that, my mind automatically went, well, did he hurt his arm? Did he hurt his knee? Did he hurt what? How long is it going to take before he's going to be back in, playing? And I said, real quick, I said, is he okay? And Dayton goes, no, he's gone. And that just made it just struck home even more how special it was for that 82 team. And yeah, there's a hole here because of that. Yordano was a big part of our 14 team, and we miss him a lot.
Ned, obviously James Shields was another great big piece,
Mm-hmm.
but the real core that I think captured the nation's imagination was the HDH, was
Oh, yeah.
Holly and Davis, and Herrera. What kind of an advantage was that for you? When
Huge.
you look back at those three guys, just what comes to mind when you see those? When you think about those three guys?
Just the dominance that they had. Dayton came to me in the winter, I think it was in 13, and he said, look, we can't spend a lot of money on starting pitchers, because that was what everybody was focused on. He said, I'm going to try to build the best bullpen that I can for you. And I'm like, okay, well, that sounds good. He goes, if we can get starters that are effective through 5 innings, and we can have 4 guys or 3 guys that can lock out the rest of the game, he said, I think it'd give us a huge advantage. Well, I didn't understand how big an advantage that would give us. So their dominance was such that the opposing team knew that after the 5th inning, that if they didn't have the lead, they were in trouble. If they were tied or they were behind, that game was over, because there was just no way that they were going to score off of those 3 guys. They were just as dominant as they could be. And then in 15, you add Ryan Madison and you add Luke Hochevar. We had 5 closers on that team. So it was just a huge psychological advantage to our club to have those guys come in late in the game and just completely shut it down.
And as mentioned earlier, this year's team starting to pick up. Any advice for Matt Catrero and the guys going forward?
No, I mean, they're doing great. They're doing it, again, we go back to that 2.5-year mark, and like I told Matt last year and Mr. Sherman, look, it's going to take time. These guys are going to grow, and they're going to develop, and they're going to be the players that you think they are, but it's going to take them time. And I kind of used an analogy, and they kind of laughed at me, but I think it's true, is that, since I retired, I like to grow tomato plants, right? So I plant all my tomatoes, and I'll sit out there and I weed every day, and I water them, and I take care of them, and I make sure that they're all doing fine and make sure that they've got enough fertilizer. But no matter how hard I try, I can't walk out there in my garden and start screaming at the tomatoes, I want tomatoes now. Let's go. I want them now. Come on, let's go. I want tomatoes now. No, the tomatoes are going to be tomatoes when they're tomatoes. The same way with players. All right, they're going to grow, they're going to blossom, and they're going to develop into all-star caliber players, but it takes time. And you see the difference between where they were last year, some of the younger players, Vinny, and you see Bobby Witt Jr. and these guys, and what they are this year. And they're just going to continue to get better and better and better.
A lot of familiar faces, obviously. It's crazy. It really is nuts to think it's been 10 years since that 2014 team. So many great memories. This is obviously the second time I've been back. The last time I was back, everything seemed so fast and rushed. It was literally the day I got traded, and I flew from San Diego straight here to Kansas City. Was meeting new teammates in Boston, and then was on a flight back to Boston out of here. So this is the first time I'll really get to interact with the people of Kansas City, some of the people that I've gotten to be close with throughout the years, and of course all the guys there that were on the team.
When you came up, you were one of the first to come up in the group of young guys, and and then it was just a month later, maybe Moose was up, and everyone just kept coming. Anywhere along that trail, did you think it maybe wasn't going to happen for you guys? Because it's so hard to get to the playoffs and get to the World Series?
Yeah, but that's what I appreciate about being developed with Kansas City Royals and the minor leagues, having guys like Dayton Moore at the top of it, because that was always the consistent goal. That was the mindset for all of us. It was knowing that we were going to do it as a group. We were going to be the group of minor league guys to come up and bring October baseball back to Kansas City, and it wasn't going to happen through one individual. It was going to happen through us as a group, as a unit, and I think we always had that belief, and Dayton never navigated towards that mindset, and I think that's something that really always kept us confident in each other, and just knowing that we were going to be the group to do it.
Is it fair to say, was this the most fun you had playing ball?
Yeah,
Here
of
at
course.
KC?
Of course. When you're winning a World Series and you're going to the playoffs, not only that, you're in the big leagues with guys that you grinded with in the minor leagues for not a long time for me, which I love to say thank you very much, but, for a couple years. And there was, a lot of situations where some guys went through some tough times, and to see them overcome that is really, really special. And then to not only make the big leagues, but accomplish the ultimate goal and winning a championship, and obviously in 2014 going to the World Series for the first time in a long time for Kansas City. It feels really cool to be a part of that group.
Eric, what do you remember just about 14, but specifically 15 as well, just your guys' ability as a team just never to be out of a game? Like, what do you remember about the feeling of never feeling like the game was over?
Yeah, I think, I always tell people in 2014, we had the wild card game, right? It was one of the craziest games there arguably ever was, and let alone playoff game. And, we had such a good game plan of trying to run the bases, trying to beat John Lester in that type of way. And I think that really kept us confident, knowing if, we can just get to first base, we'll be able to steal some bases, we'll be able to stick to our game plan, and that's how we're going to get runs. And from that point on, it seemed like we had a different game plan that night, and we were going to try and execute it. And it just came to a point where if we executed that game plan or not, we were going to win. It really didn't matter who we were playing. So I think ultimately when you, as a group, when you get to that as a mindset, then there's, really good things destined to happen.
I was with that 2014 wild card game. You had one of the biggest hits, that triple off the wall. What do you remember about that moment specifically and the 15 minutes that then followed?
Yeah, incredible. That really, the lead changes in that game. Nowadays, there's a lot of numbers. Our percentage of winning that game, I'm sure, was really, really low. But it really was an out-of-body experience. I remember sliding into third, and I regret some of the ways I did the fist pumps, but it was an absolute out-of-body experience. I couldn't even control what I was feeling. I was so excited, and then the whirlwind of those next couple innings, it was crazy, and just glad to be on the right end of such a historic game.
The run continued. You ended up losing the World Series, but then you have to wait all the next offseason to get back at 15. Moose just told us that everyone was at camp early. Mm-hmm. You guys were ready to go. How much did losing that World Series contribute to winning the next?
Yeah, it certainly motivated us. I always say it was a unique situation. About 5-10 minutes after the last out was made, a lot of us were still in the dugout, just kind of, hoping that what just happened was a dream. And all of a sudden you hear all the fans get up and start chanting, "Let's go Royals." And it was so unique because I think every fan base, you want to win. And it's if you don't, it's a failure of a season. But the way the fans acknowledged what we accomplished that year, I think they were super proud of us, and we were proud of what we accomplished. And we didn't reach the ultimate goal, but I think that led us into starting up our off season sooner than normal. Everyone came to spring training really ready to go, and I think that was a big thing to do with the motivation for the whole entire group.
Back for 2014's story, it's the wild card win, but then you kept winning after that, specifically the home run against the Angels for you, putting the backpack on. What do you remember about that moment and the wins that then followed?
Yeah, it was crazy because we flew out of Kansas City the night after the wild card game. We got into LA. It was probably like 7:30 in the morning, like crazy flight. We go right to the field. I remember Ned's like, let's go just do this workout. We'll bang out all the media stuff and we'll rest. And it really felt like we were just, blacked out and didn't sleep throughout the whole run. We swept the whole entire American League, which is crazy. But the home run specifically, it was awesome because, game one, Moose had his home run. And, in the locker room in LA, you got to go up about 10, 15 steps and then, make a right, walk about 10 yards and you're in your locker. So I had to get some extra batting gloves. and I see Moose hit the home run on TV, and I'm running downstairs to get to the dugout and be part of the celebration. And there's a little, like 2 steps that you go down, so I jumped off of it and I banged my head right on this light. Ended up having a big gash down there, but was super excited to get down there and you know, celebrate it with Moose. And then the next night I hit the home run, so it was just somebody different each and every night.
You guys did have a few years later, you had the farewell, but a lot of you guys were going to be gone at the same time. And the Royals tried to sign you back. It was close. I mean, Dayton made a real effort. Any part of you ever regret not staying here? Or, I mean, I know it's baseball. You go do what you do.
That's something I'll cover on my new podcast, Digging Deep. But no, but in respect to your question, it's definitely something I think about all the time. You know, I look at Salvi right now and him continuing to put the uniform on. I know that's special. It really is. But ultimately, it was a decision I had to make for the better of myself and my family. And it's something that I really do look forward to being able to tell the whole entire story, not only, you know, to the fans of Kansas City, but really the fans of myself in baseball, because I think there's a lot of unique situations where, you know, stuff doesn't end up the way a guy wants, and the players think of something, or the fans think that a different outcome happens. But at the end of the day, you know, I have no regrets, and it was something that Dayton and I were really trying to get done as a team together. And like I said, I really do look forward to telling that story. But yeah, I definitely look back and I get to enjoy seeing Salvi putting on the same uniform that he's got to put on his whole career, and I think that's really special.
He's still really performing at a high level, too. What do you think of that?
Yeah, clearly you don't watch, because I've been hyping him up a lot on there. But he just, to see what he's done up until this point is so impressive. You know, he's a guy that went from catching 140 to 150 something games a year. Everybody's saying, hey, that's not going to last. You can't do that. And he was just so determined to continue to do that because he loves playing the game. So I'm super proud of him. And you're right, he's gotten better and better, which is something that's it's mind-blowing to really see what he's accomplished and how much better he's gotten. And you know, I mess with you about not watching, but I truly do believe that he is one of the most underrated players in our game today. And I hate that he doesn't get the credit he deserves, because, you know, we all know the player he is, and I think everyone knows the person he is as well, so he deserves all that credit.
I know you had Bobby on your podcast this spring, and you discussed the leadership aspect of this new core. What parallels do you see between these young guys and the group that you guys had?
They rally together, you know. I saw the one game they all put their pants up and went on a little streak there. They have a good mix of the young athletic group that I think a lot of them look up to Bobby and kind of you know, watch what he's doing on a day-to-day basis. And then I think they got a lot of older guys that have been in the mix that can come and really, you know, police that locker room. And I know that's something that a lot of former players talk about that's important, but I really do believe that, you know, those guys are ready to play each and every night, and you're getting a real good effort from them each and every night. And I think that's a credit to a lot of those older guys in the locker room that, you know, are keeping the atmosphere the way it should be.
Eric, before you guys did have those veterans, when you became a major voice in that locker room, was that something that became natural to you? Did you see that was a void that you guys needed to have somebody rebuild?
I tried to make it as natural as possible. You know, I didn't try and force anything. I always felt that, you know, if anything was to be spoken, I think it's something that you want to earn the respect from the guys to know that if we're speaking about something, then it must be, you know, at that point where it needs to be talked about. I had so many good players in front of me that I got to learn from, and a lot of guys that are here and won't be here. But, you know, Raul Ibanez, James Shields, when he came over, really changed the mindset for us players. So I just learned little bits and pieces from all those guys that came before me, and we're in that leadership role, and just try to, you know, learn from that and do it as natural my way as possible.
Is it bittersweet to be celebrating tonight, not have Giordano here?
I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously he's, you know, when we lost Giordano, when we did, it was tough to swallow, you know, and especially him being a lot younger. You know, we talk about that leadership role, and he was the guy. He was one of the first guys that I really got to start that leadership role with, and I saw a lot of big time improvements for not only him on the field, but as a person. So, yeah, it's tough not having him here.
Gordo says you guys are playing golf tomorrow, maybe? Who's going to win? You guys get a little gambling, little bets? Who's the best golfer now, today?
Not me. Gordo plays a lot. I know he's got a lot of improvements in his
Home
game.
course for him too, though. That's not fair, right?
That's going to be an advantage, so I'm sure that factors into the spread or whatever's going on there. But Vargy's really good. I know him, Wade, and Moose always play some pretty high competitive games. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun time with the boys.
How's winning in 2014? Did it start to feel real that you guys could make that run that you did?
That's what's it really is so crazy about the whole story and the whole situation was because, the wild card game was so nuts, right? We fly to LA after that. We feel like we have no sleep. We sweep the Angels, we sweep the Orioles, get to the World Series, and then you're a month or two in the offseason and you kind of realize what you actually accomplished. And, heading into that next year, I think it really did make us confident that, hey, we really did accomplish something that was really, really cool and a big deal, but we feel like there's more. So to answer your question, really just that playoff run, I think going home that offseason, really it started to sink in of what we did and gave us a lot of confidence.
And Mike Trout's never made the playoffs since then. I mean, that's how hard baseball is.
Yeah.
Right? You just can't get there. I mean, it makes you appreciate these runs, right, that you guys were able to get this far.
Yeah, no question. It's tough. It really is. And, even in 2015 when we got to we pretty much rolled throughout the whole entire regular season, and then all of a sudden we're down 2-1 against Houston, and it's the fifth inning of a game that we can be eliminated. And it's like, man, what just happened? We were just doing this for 8 months, and all of a sudden we're 4 innings away from everything being done. And, you definitely don't take it for granted. You understand how hard the game is, and anything can happen in baseball, especially in October.
Good to see you.
Good to see you guys.
What's it like to be back in KC and see a bunch of the old teammates and everyone?
It's awesome, man. It's pretty special. Just driving here, landing at the new airport, which is unbelievable. It just brings back a lot of awesome memories. I was 18 when I first got here, and this city is so special to me and my family, and it's so amazing.
Like, what do you remember about just when it did flip?
What I remember is, the caliber of players and people that Dayton brought in and into the clubhouse, like Wago and, a bunch of other dudes that, changed the culture of the clubhouse and changed how we went about our business. And it was just a lot of fun to be able to learn from those older guys. And, once we got started, Ned let us go and turned us loose, there was no stopping us.
What do you remember about the changes that specifically helped?
Not so much the changes, it's just bringing older guys in that knew who we were as players and kind of vibed with us and were able to, show us how to do things maybe a little bit different. And our attitude was always about winning, and bringing just winning players in was, I think, the main focus.
Why was 2014 a pivotal year for you?
I think 2014, I didn't play very well, if I recall correctly. I was hitting 170. I think I got sent down and got called back up, and, getting to work with Dale and Skip was just go hit the ball, play the game you know how to play. End up having a phenomenal postseason and, kind of turn my career back around. And, just having that confidence when, the postseason's going on, you're not looking at the scoreboard, you're not looking at your stats, you're not looking at your numbers, you're looking at the score and trying to win. And I think that's when I played my best and was able to focus on that and kind of help turn my career around.
Overall, as a team, that postseason run you guys had, especially with all the momentum after that Oakland wild card game, how fun was that ride when you look back at it?
It was awesome. That wild card game, I still say it might be one of the best baseball games played. I mean, if you really break it down and you watch it, so much happened throughout that entire game, and it was just just an emotional roller coaster. And after that, we felt like we were unstoppable, and we ran through the postseason pretty well, and then just ran into a phenomenal pitcher and Giants team. But flying to LA, playing a postseason game in my hometown was unbelievable, and just having all those memories and that experience just made us better for that 2015 season.
Mike, in 2014, you had that catch falling in the dugout. What do you remember about that moment specifically?
Yeah, when it's the postseason, you're just doing anything you can to win. All your attention is on winning a game and winning each pitch. And I remember going in the dugout suites and just putting everything out there on the line. And for some reason, I caught it and I fell, but I never hit the ground. And it just says so much about the city and the people in the city that they just held me up and ended up pushing me back over the railing. So, that's what I remember. It was awesome, And then I remember throwing the ball back to Frage, and he's like, that's 2 outs. It was like he wasn't impressed at all. He's like, that's only 2. We got 1 more. I'm like, all right, let's go, dude. But that's kind of how we were. But, yeah, that was one of the best catches I've ever made in my life.
Mike, the playoff game, you mentioned the wild card game. Such a roller coaster. You got pinch hit for the 9th inning. What was it like? The next game went on for like another whole other hour.
Oh, yeah. It's funny. I remember I was in the dugout, got pinch hit for, and I look over and I look at my wife, and she's just standing up screaming. She says that day is the day she became a baseball fan. And, it was just unbelievable. Sitting there cheering. I honestly, looking back on it, I can't remember much that happened just because it's so emotional. But I know we won, and that's all that matters. But just everything that happened, all the hits, all the base stealing, all the things that we did well, we really did well in that game.
And you guys end up losing in the World Series, but that was the real fire for you. All off season,
absolutely
spring training.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. The next year, usually you come into camp a couple days before, getting ready to go. I think I got there about 2 weeks early, and everybody was already there. We were all ready to rock. We couldn't wait to get back to work. And I think that just kind of showed everybody in that clubhouse, in that organization, that we're going back to the World Series and we're going to win it this time, and ended up happening.
Mike, it seems like one of the defining qualities of those teams where you never really thought you guys were going to lose a game, even when it wasn't going well during the game. Where do you think that came from, and how much do you think that really fueled what ended up happening?
I think it came from our attitude in the clubhouse. We had so much fun. We were a loose group of guys, had a great time. But when the game started, it was all about business, and we went out there and we tried to win every pitch. It didn't matter what the score was. We were trying to win every pitch, win every game, and our recipe was, we need to get to the 5th and 6th inning with a lead, and it's over because we got the bullpen, and if we can keep adding runs on here and there, it's even better. But we knew what we had in the bullpen, and we were like, let's just get to the 5th or 6th with a lead, and we'll call it a day.
Mike, you guys gather here. How bittersweet is it to know that Rodano's not here?
Very bittersweet. I think about him all the time. We all do. We miss Ace a lot. Again, he had that fire and that passion to pitch, and he was the guy you were excited to play behind every 5th day. And we miss him a lot.
Mike, with these celebrations, you reflect back on these moments. You brought a lot of joy to this city. Now, years later, what does Kansas City mean to you?
It means a lot, man. It means everything. This is my first team that drafted me. Dayton took a chance on me, and just coming back here, even when I was still playing, coming back here, seeing the fans, seeing the city, and when you get into Kauffman, man, it's just a different world. It just feels like home, and this place is definitely home for me. And it's just so great to be back. So great to see all of you guys, all the boys. It's pretty special.
And you're home in Los Angeles, where you hit your first playoff home run in that game 1. You mentioned the struggles in 2014. What do you remember about that specific moment when you see the ball go to the fence?
Yeah, obviously didn't play well that year, but I remember the homework I did with the hitting coaches that day. I knew the pitcher liked to go 1-1 changeups, and was waiting for it. He threw it and ended up hitting a homer, and it's just it was just one of those things where you're not so focused on yourself. You're focused on winning the game, and I knew that I helped us win the game that day, because again, we get a lead in the late innings, it's over. So it just felt incredible.
2014, I think, was the first year of the online All-Star balloting too.
Yeah.
The Royals fans kind of stuffed the ballot. Were you guys aware of that when that was going on?
I think, was it 14 or 15?
It was one of those seasons.
I think it was 15 because we had the entire team on the ballot. But it just shows you the love and passion these fans have for their players and their city to get us to be represented in the All-Star game. It's unbelievable.
Were you aware of it, or were you guys in the clubhouse?
No. We looked at it, and then when you saw the entire team was starting in the All-Star game. You're like, oh, it's gonna be fun, dude. It's gonna be awesome. But yeah, it's pretty cool to see that kind of stuff.
When you played, you had the reputation of being hard-nosed, not real flashy, but your shoes today, incredibly flashy. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
I don't really know what to say, man.
They look good.
I know they look good. I know. No, my wife dresses me, dude. So it's if I got something nice on, it's because she's made it work.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, she's the best.
I know it's been, now the Royals, it looks like there's real signs of life and hope for this ball club. They're playing really well. Any advice for these guys in terms of just, from where you guys were and then you guys took it all the way to the World Series? Any advice?
I mean, the best piece of advice is just keep going out there and having fun. Play to win each day, and then, win or lose, you got a game the next day. And, every game's important. One thing Ned told us, people always think September is the most important time. Every game's important. You can win a game early on in the season. That helps you get to the postseason later on. So treat every game like it's a postseason game. Go out there and try and find a way to win and, see what happens the next day.
Mike, in 2014, when did it start to feel real? Like you guys couldn't make that push?
That's a great question. Once Dayton started signing guys and trading for some guys, you knew what he was trying to do, and you knew he believed in what we were doing. And I think just early on in spring training, it was like, okay, we're going for it. Like, we got a chance at this thing. Let's figure it out. And obviously, again, I didn't play well that year, but to have the guys that we had, throughout this entire season, you just kind of felt how it was going to go.
How's everyone doing?
Good.
How are you?
Good. Make sure my phone's on.
You still live here. A lot
Yeah.
of these guys don't. You're coming back and get to see some of these guys for the first time in a while, right?
Oh, it's great. Great to see the faces. Start talking about stories from 14. Just all the memories we had. But being the guy that lives here, you got to host everyone. So we got a party at our house. I'm taking guys golfing. So it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun too. So we got a good turnout and just getting started now. So everyone's having a good time.
You were here for longer than most before you guys finally made the playoffs in 14. You were through a lot of the building part of it.
Mm-hmm.
What felt different, and when did it start feeling different for you?
For me, it was 2011. That's when all the guys started coming up, right? Like the Salvi, the Haas, the Moose. But even the guys that were, on that 2011 team were playing well. So it was kind of getting that young generation to gel with the guys that were already there that were playing well. And it started to click, I feel like, in 2011. Unfortunately, 2012 was kind of a rough year that no one expected, but we were kind of able to rebound, and 13 started to feel it again, and then obviously 14.
Alex, that 2014 postseason run, especially after that Oakland game, that momentum you guys had where you swept 2 opponents in a row, just how cool was that feeling to go through that little process of just sweeping and playing your best baseball at that time?
Well, you just said it was. We were playing our best baseball then, and one thing that really helped us was to have our home city behind us, a home crowd, and not being in the playoffs for so many years, everyone was really excited. And I'll never forget that 2014 game coming out of the dugout and just that atmosphere. There was nothing like it, and just getting goosebumps talking about it now. And then, after that 14 game, there was nothing else you could put us in a situation that we couldn't handle after that game. It was just, there were so many ups and downs, and season's over, season's back and stuff like that. So every game after that was kind of really easy. So I think that's why we went on the run we did.
How often do you think back to that wild card game and little pieces of it? Is it something that comes back to you a lot?
Yeah, all the time. It's kind of a blur. It's almost like you have to watch it again to realize what happened and all the little things that were a part of that game, the base stealing, with Ventura coming and giving it up, and then obviously coming back and stuff like that. But it was just a crazy time. It's win or go home, and you didn't know what was going to happen after that game. So winning, celebrating, and then jumping on a plane going to LA for in the middle of the night was crazy.
Alex, a lot of these guys, you included, had careers beyond 14 and 15, but some of the best years that everybody had were in 14 and 15. Was this a matter of bringing out the best in each other?
We just had a good group that, you play 162 games together, and it's really I've been on a lot of teams that sometimes it wasn't always great to come into the clubhouse. Like, it wasn't exciting at times, and it wasn't fun to be a part of it. But through that 11, 12, 13, I know 12 wasn't that great, but even those years, it was exciting to come to the clubhouse just because of the atmosphere we had in that clubhouse. And give credit to, really Dayton Moore in the construction that all those guys that come in that clubhouse, and then Ned handling that clubhouse the way he did. It was just a family in there, and we always had a good time when we were playing. One of the best comments I ever got, I think it might have been 14, but I'd walk around town, people were like, "We can see how much fun you guys are having together," and that meant a lot. It wasn't about how good we were playing; they could tell that we were enjoying ourselves and playing together. So it was special.
Ned has said that this has been always a baseball town, in his opinion. For one who lives here, what do you think?
Oh, absolutely. We just gotta play well, right? For it to be a baseball town. I mean, they try hard to support us. I was a part of those years when we were losing 100 games, but they were always supportive during those years. And then obviously when you're winning, it just takes it to another level. So the support's always there, and the love for baseball is always there. It's just about the team kind of holding up their end of the bargain.
And you had a role in bringing the College Baseball Hall of Fame here, didn't you?
Yeah. So I was actually a part of that recruitment. So actually living here now, I love doing that kind of stuff and, kind of building up the city because we love this place. Like, we would never go anywhere else. This is our home. And so the College Hall of Fame was just another part of that. And, being inducted that year, I was like, well, it makes it easy for me to travel there. It's right in my backyard. So it was a win-win for me.
Ironic, given your roots in Nebraska with Omaha not getting it?
Yeah. So I kind of felt bad that I was rooting for Kansas City over Nebraska, but I was a Lincoln guy, not an Omaha guy. So maybe that's why. Yeah.
I remember there was a game, I think it was early September of 14. You had a walk-off against the Twins. Maybe there was 10, 12,000 people there. And Ned, after the game, was like, "This was a great game. I sure wish everyone would have been here to see it." And at that point, you guys were contending, but you just hadn't really struck the fancy of everybody quite yet.
That really, I always remember that game because we were close, right? We were, almost in first place. I can't remember where we were in the division, but we were close. And there wasn't a lot of people at that game. And I think it was 1-0. I hit a walk-off 2-run homer against Perkins, who never gives it up. So the team was excited. We just wasn't a lot of excitement in the stadium. And I can remember, and this speaks volumes for Ned, throughout his career, he always had our back. Like, no matter what we were doing, was always supportive of his players. And I remember getting on the press conference after the game and not really getting on the fans, but just saying, "Hey, we need you guys out here." And then after that, it seemed like people started filtering in. So that really stuck with me a lot, just because that was a moment for me, and then having his support after the game was pretty cool, and that's just the kind of manager he was.
Speaking of fans, you get asked about getting held at third?
I'm sure I'm going to get asked tonight. I'm sure that's going to get brought up a little bit. I just saw Jersh in the lobby, and I said, we're probably going to talk about that again. I mean, that was a crazy moment and crazy offseason and spring training, because that's all I ever want to talk about. And looking back on it now, it was really crazy. If I would have ended the World Series, if I would have been sent or something like that. So I'm sure we'll get into all the dynamics tonight, but the funny story that come after that, with everything that happened, interviews and everything, the next spring training, I think it was first or second game, I was on second, there was a base hit, and he sent me, and he shouldn't have sent me, like, he knew, and I was out by like 10 feet, and he's like, "Hey, now everyone can stop talking to me." So that was a pretty funny moment.
That'll do it for this episode. Thanks to producer Randy Mason for putting together the show, and to our SportsBeat KC staff of Monty Davis, Jeff Rosen, and Scott Chasen. Hey, let us know what you think of SportsBeat KC by leaving a rating and review. We'd appreciate the feedback. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon with another SportsBeat KC, where we talk sports in and around Kansas City.